Greetings, you sexy bastards. It's a good middle of the night time, 12, something like that, way past my bedtime. But as I was going to sleep, I realized I've been having a bit of a purpose crisis lately. And I kind of started talking myself through it, but I want to have a video of me talking myself through it, and I'll likely post this because it's kind of in the ballpark of the things I guess I post. Also, I got a haircut. I freaking hate it. I think it makes my head look like a mushroom sometimes. I don't even know what that looks like. But it is what it is. I miss being able to go like whoosh. Anyway, this is not the purpose crisis. This is just a bad haircut. But the crisis here is essentially in my sense of purpose. Hence why I called it a purpose crisis. All right, it's the middle of the night. I'm getting my processing powers back right now. Basically, what brought this on was the other day I was pulling out of my parking spot. I was in my car. And I've just been thinking about, I guess, about life a lot. A lot of the ideas that I've thought about lately have been in regards to the kind of life that I want, losing, I guess, that sense of importance that one can get from having a profound sense of purpose, and recognizing the limitedness of my ability to actually impact the world. And as I was pulling out of my spot, I was like, dude, I could live a really good life. I could live a really chill life. And maybe I don't need to go down this path of self-development, teaching, ideas, philosophy, any of this stuff. I could just be an engineer. I could start a good company or two. I could take over the construction company, work within that, develop some technologies regarding that. I could just work as an engineer. I've had some job opportunities come my way, and realistically, I can graduate in a year and have a pretty comfortable job, making six figures right off the bat, with a really good lifestyle, with tons of free time, and making a lot of money, and having good benefits, and honestly doing work that's fun and enjoyable, and then I could have a very full social life. And that's how a lot of the semester has felt. I felt more distant from my sense of purpose, and I guess I should go into that a little bit more, give you some more backstory on where that sense of purpose comes from, what that is, what that used to look like, how that's been evolving lately. I might as well go into that right now. So, well, I'll finish this thought. Basically, I'm driving away and I start to think about this, and it felt like there was like this weight lifted off my chest. And I've thought a lot recently, like, don't try to solve the problems of the world, just try to solve your own problems first. And I've got plenty of problems, although honestly not that many, especially compared to the kind of problems I used to have. Fuck, dude, like, life is so good and peaceful and easy right now. Especially with like finals ending, but even when like the school semester was in full go mode, it's like, it's easy. It's a good life. I mean, it's hard because engineering is not easy by any means, but it's not like it used to be. And I think, I don't know where I was going with that. I think I could see myself continuing to live a life like this. And lately, this old sense of purpose, I felt like, started to look more like grandiosity to me. And I've been embracing this desire for a more humble, more low-key life, like the life I was just describing, where my priority is more in having a family, having a good group of friends, going on outdoor adventures, going camping, all of these things. And just this voice kind of came to the surface from deep down. It was like, it said, "Are you really going to leave them behind?" And I guess this is where that, talking about that sense of purpose is important. So as a kid, I struggled with a lot of depression, especially like early high school. I was super depressed. Middle school, I was fairly depressed. And then that kind of transitioned into a lot of drug use in later high school. I've been ADHD my whole life. I guess that's kind of everybody's ADHD their whole life if they're ADHD. But yeah, so I never got on like medications for depression, and I did do a lot of amphetamines in high school, but that was just, I mean, a lot of it was for school, and my grades went way up. I feel like a lot of people, it's like, oh, they start doing drugs, and then, oh, they crash and burn and all this bullshit. I was fucking killing it in school. I was cranking through physics. I loved my physics class. I was getting into really good shape because I was doing drugs, but I was going out and I was running and I was exercising and I was living a pretty active life. There were definitely phases where it devolved into just like doing drugs and like playing video games or whatever. But when I threw parties, we would go and party at this beach that was like, we'd probably walk a total of like 4 miles carrying like wood and supplies and tables and alcohol and all this shit back and forth because the spot on the beach we partied was super far away. This is super unimportant. I don't know why I'm talking about this shit. The point is, what the fuck was the point of that? I was a depressed little shit for a long time, and I got balls deep in just drinking a lot, smoking a lot of weed, addicted to nicotine, and trying every drug I could find. And this was unhealthy, and I remember just as it started to begin and I started to go down that path, I remember I was super high and I went to like this family event and I just felt disassociated and distant, and I could feel myself shifting into this path I didn't want to go down, but I didn't know how not to go down that path. I didn't know how to get out. And I remember I got in my car and I just started bawling. I was like, fuck, dude, like my life's about to go to shit. And it went to shit. And the following 2.5 years got really fucking hard. And then the following 2.5 years getting out of it were also really fucking hard. And I remember so much of that time feeling so lost, having no guidance. And I guess, so this is where I started deciding I was going to make a video about this, was I was thinking about the church. And I don't know if I really want to go into this, but I'll go into it. And if I feel like I'm getting sidetracked, I'll stop. I feel like the church was of no help. I feel like I needed God, but the church was a barrier between me and God. And when I turned towards the whole world of self-development, I feel like I was more easily able to find God through that. By reading Epictetus and reading the way he talked about God, and reading the 21 qualities of a leader and the way he talked about God. I was like, dude, like, this God guy's freaking sick. And reading Carl Jung and dream analysis and how you can listen to God by listening to your dreams. Although that's kind of an amalgamation of some of my own thoughts, but Carl Jung talks about the importance of dreams, how to analyze your dreams, and the Bible says that God speaks to people through their dreams. And I feel like that created a real closeness with God, whereas the church didn't. And so the point is, the institution that should be leading people towards spiritual well-being is failing. And you have this world of self-development, and it's solid, but I think it's got its own problems. And I think one of the main problems is that it's divorced from God. And I think that's why you have this whole like idea, like the idea marketplace where everybody's got ideas and they're selling ideas, and it's just a ridiculous amount of thoughts ultimately as you really explore it. It's just a bunch of sentences and words and phrases that can have some meaning, but ultimately most of these ideas, when you hear them, your subconscious uses these ideas as means to justify what it wants and not necessarily to move you closer towards your ideals. I also think the idea landscape, this idea, I don't know what you would call it, this the world of self-development, the internet, all the reels that you watch that I'm unfortunately, adding to. You have all of these ideas, and yeah, like I was saying, all it does is it just gives your subconscious more content to use to convince you, and more advanced ways to convince you to do and believe what it wants you to believe. And the subconscious is not necessarily all that reliable. Our insecurities are very subconscious. And, let's say here's a very good example. For a good while there, I mean, I've had social anxiety for a long time throughout my life. And I pushed through a lot of that when I was on drugs. I had no social anxiety, so my social life flourished for the first time. And when I sobered up, all that social anxiety came back, and I didn't know how to socialize. I didn't know how to connect with strangers. And for a long time, these ideas about like lock yourself in your room and just dedicate yourself to purpose and get shit done, it wasn't something that I actually needed to do. I would just see successful people say these things, and then since my subconscious was afraid to go out and meet new people and connect with new people, I would use that as a rationalization to hide away in my room and not face my fears and go out and learn how to connect with people. And eventually I did, and let's be honest here, like, human connections are a hell of a lot more important than your purpose. And ultimately, if you want to accomplish anything, you have to go out and meet people. Now, what I just said, can also be used as a rationalization for people who don't want to sit down and just get the work done that they got to get done, and instead want to go out and socialize all the time. When in reality, what they need to do to progress is sit down and get the work done. In other words, how you progress versus how you don't progress. This idea marketplace, it's not going to provide the solutions. And in large part, I think a lot of it just becomes ammunition for your subconscious to get its way, right? To convince the rational mind of action A or action B, whether action A or action B actually moves you towards some real sense of progress. So let's go back to what the fuck was my purpose. So I think I felt very lost in life. I found some answers. Atomic Habits, Carl Jung, Robert Greene, all of these things. Stoicism, they promoted a lot of positive change in my life. And they got me to a place where I could be focused and study engineering without having to take Vyvanse every day. I've taken a little bit of Vyvanse while I've been studying engineering, but I haven't taken more than like a pill worth of Vyvanse in the span of a semester since I started at CU Boulder. And that's huge. That's fucking ridiculous. I used to take like 3 Adderalls just to get through like a day of studying. Like, it's so these ideas are powerful and they're useful, and they've gotten me results that have saved my organs to start with, and have saved me from like just terrible come downs at the end of every day, which gives me a much more peaceful life. My brain chemistry is just chilled the fuck out. I'm not addicted to weed anymore. I used to literally get like nauseous when I didn't smoke weed. I was high so often. If I like drove without smoking weed, I would feel intoxicated. It would be like scary to drive. I would have to smoke weed to get to like a sober mindset. It was insane, dude. And then the drinking, the partying, all of these things that I did compulsively, it seemed like nothing could change them. And then, you go to church and they're just like, God can change it all. And I think that's kind of bullshit, if I'm being honest, because it doesn't always pan out that way. Sometimes it pans out that way, but sometimes you need some practical freaking knowledge. You need some practical advice, like atomic habits type shit. And you need to learn how to regulate your emotions. And if I'm being honest, the church doesn't teach emotional regulation. They don't teach shit about emotions. All they teach is like, your emotions are evil. Ignore your emotions. Push your emotions away. And I get where it's all coming from. And I think a lot of that is misinterpretations of the Bible, but all of that's beside the point. Damn it, I keep getting sidetracked. This is difficult. I have the tired. So the point is, I had all this confusion. I found all these answers, and I felt compelled to, I guess, give back to that world. And to be like a self-development guy. Hey, here's how you conquer your addictions. And, as I was driving away the other day and I was having these thoughts, and that thought came up, like, are you really going to leave them behind? These are the kind of people that I'm talking about. The people who are like in the depths of despair, don't know a way out, and need that fucking lifeline. And lately what I've been thinking is like, shit, man, like, there are plenty of people out there. Like, I don't have any unique ideas, any new ideas. There's nothing I need to go and do. Like, the world can figure its own shit out. People who need guidance are going to find guidance, the guidance that they need. And again, it's like, ultimately, if I'm out here professing ideas, many of these ideas don't actually apply to most people. What people really need to do is learn how to listen to God in some sense, listen to that inner guide that can help them navigate the chaos of the subconscious or something like that. So I've kind of been losing touch with that sense of purpose. And something very specific that I thought about was like, let's see, we got the Laws of Human Nature action guide, super useful thing. I think if you can provide these kinds of things for people to take knowledge and apply that knowledge to their life, it can create a substantial amount of positive change in their life. And this was one of the things that I wanted to do. And dream analysis, make like an online dream analysis course, because this is one of those things where it's like, regardless of what people say on the internet, if you can listen to your dreams are like the ultimate self-development guru in your own mind, applying things directly to your life and saying like, hey, this thing in your life, address it this way. Or, hey, you know how you keep acting this way? It's because of these desires. I think there's a lot of power in that. Anyway, so I guess that's where that crisis of purpose comes, is like, and where I guess I'm feeling more distant from my sense of purpose now is, for one, do I really need to engage in this space? Do I really need to be a part of this? We got Tony Robbins, he's great. We got Robert Greene, he's great. We got Jordan Peterson, he's fantastic. Andrew Huberman, right? Like, there are plenty of people out there talking about the art of living, how to live well. So why would I need to be a part of that? And many of these people who are in this have had way more crazy experiences than I have. I mean, life has been an emotional roller coaster for sure. And it's been wild, but, not that crazy. Not compared to a lot of these people. And it's like, these people, since they've seen maybe a greater depth of insanity in this world than I perhaps have, then they could probably articulate and speak more deeply on these subjects. And so it's like, why the hell do I need to be a part of that? And then, again, there's this point of how much use really is there for these things. Um, but then it's like when I let all that go, that thought comes, and it's that just like survivor's guilt. I think that's a bunch of bullshit. I guess I've started to also feel like a passive observer in this world where I'm just kind of floating through life, not really affecting anything around me. And I think a part of this comes from when I sobered up, I left all of my friends behind. I wanted to bring them to this new life with me, but now I'm out in Colorado, 3 states away from all of these people that I went through all of this shit with who also wanted to change their lives. And I left them. I was like, you guys are getting out of my life. I got to get my own shit together. And I tried to, make that progress, make that change with them. It was undoable. And so I separated from them and I created the changes that I wanted to experience. And to some degree, that's what you have to do. But then they all just kind of went to the wayside. And I feel like that's kind of been my path ever since I've sobered up, is I'm just kind of doing my thing and letting everybody around me do what they will. And just making sure that I'm unaffected by it. And it's like, that's good, I guess, to some extent. There's utility in that, but what's the point if you're getting your shit together, but everyone else around you, their lives are falling apart? What's the point of all of that knowledge? What's the point of all that self-development and growth? And what's the point if you just have to keep separating yourself from people? I mean, that's not a great or an accurate description of what it is, because I have found people who have more similar values to me, who have this same kind of mindset. They love discipline, they love wisdom, they love knowledge, and we work together to better ourselves. And we argue and we discuss and we develop ourselves, and we go and work out together and we go on these adventures together, and this shit is great. But again, it's like a lot of these people, like, they don't need self-development gurus to get them there. They just kind of figure it out one way or another. I think we all do. Anyway, so that's kind of where I'm at now. It's like, can I just separate myself from that whole path that I once saw myself going down? Public speaking, online courses, coaching maybe. Obviously this app is kind of like a self-development oriented thing, and I do have a lot of faith in the app, maybe not as a product, but in its ability to help people change. Especially, I think that's a very unique thing. Well, actually, it's not that unique of a thing. There are tons of habit tracker apps out there. Anyway, but I don't even know why I'm talking about that right now. Yeah. So that's kind of the crisis, the purpose crisis. All of these contributions to the world, is it all just grandiosity? Or should I just detach from all that and just say, hey, you know what? I'm going to do my coding. I'm going to get a nice coding job or a tech job of some kind. Work a reasonable amount of hours, whatever hours I want, whatever hours I see fit, make as much money as I want, and spend the rest of my time mastering kickboxing just because it's fun, and going snowboarding and doing all these other things so long as I can afford it. Fuck it, dude. And then just building a family, building a good friend group. And that isn't to say that, like, I can't do both in some sense, but there is only so much time in life. And this semester, I feel like I've really sacrificed a lot of progress on this self-development type business, for a more full social life and for deeper connections with the people around me. And maybe that's worth it. I mean, that does make life more meaningful. It makes life a lot better. Anyway, I'm sure there are more thoughts, but I think that's enough for now. Um, yeah, let's see what happens. Adios.